funny how the origin of some things sometimes where it comes from. And everything Bruce Lee he quoted from the Tao Te Ching. So that's also funny.
I was watching an interesting video earlier today on three of the main sects of Buddhism, the three of the main branches of Buddhic philosophy, I guess. From the traditional, and the traditional was the way of the eight. All of them are the Eightfold Path, but the traditional retained the original ideas taught from Gautama, or the first Buddha. But then the Tibetans, they tuned into some of the higher spirit ideas. And then there's the other branch, and I can't remember the names, but their idea is not to leave until humanity is saved, right? And I think that's what Jesus is doing. Jesus's purpose was to be. I think that name and that image was, we're in this timeline, right? We got to accept the teachings are real, right? And I think it was for a purpose. And I think the purpose is, it makes all sorts of sense that God, predicting the future, knew the potential of what he was having done in the creation of mankind here on earth. And the battle fell, right? The battle happened. We got to become battle hardened so we can learn through experimentation and mistakes. We've made a lot of experimentation, mankind, society, through the world wars. We've made a lot of mistakes. But by the time we came around, generally World War One, between World War One and World War Two, a lot of the monarchs and royalty facades drifted away, and we replaced a single family rule to a rule by elected officials. But then somewhere along the way, that got distorted as well. And now we've got an oligarchy running not just America, but running the world through the militarization that America brings. So the big picture of this world, guys, if we don't do something different, the world is fucked. But I'm pretty sure God's got better things in store for us. Because one of the benefits of all the pain in this world, people who go through a lot of pain when they're children, they typically grow up to be extremely compassionate adults. And if they find healing for themselves, they typically live a life helping to heal others. There's a perfect order to every life that is being lived. And that includes anyone who's hearing my words, right?
Yeah, you're right. And I think it's important too that sometimes it's pointed out that people don't always perpetuate cycles of like evil in their lives, right? Like when you said, when you're a kid, if you had a hard life, you may grow up and be very compassionate. I did those things. Like when I was injured as a child and I had my own children, I thought I would strive and work as hard as I can to prevent any of that type of thing in their life. Like my dad never beat me, and my mom did a little bit, but I grew up and I felt I always have to be gentle with my children, and violence towards them isn't the answer. And most of the time, people get in relationships like that with children is because they run out of energy and they just don't have the energy to, to teach them correctly and train them and spend time with them. And so they get frustrated. And that's where we end up lost. Yeah, they don't show us what to do. They just beat us when we don't do what we're supposed to do, right? Or we do what we're not supposed to do, or whatever.
That was it. I mean, it's crazy how life happens. The way I tell my childhood stories is completely different than the way it used to be told. And it's still the exact same life. The facts didn't change. My life as a kid, I picked up a lot of bad habits. But truly, I was so blessed. I've been cared for and protected and loved my entire life, even when there was no one around. I had people all around the world. I had friends for a long time. Um, but coming to terms with that idea, when there's nobody you care about who's around, you can't reach anyone, there's no one to turn to, no one to talk to, that can rock your world. And we're living at a time, guys, the energies are changing. I encourage anyone, if you're willing to try it, the rewards. I encourage you, bring compassion into your mind, not just for you, but for others. And not just for others, but for you. Compassion has been lacking, and it's created a bunch of battle worn and tired soldiers. People have been at war their whole lives. And actually, in line with this topic today, I grew up fighting. That's what I saw in the home. That's what I learned to do. And I think I learned how to fight because I had to show myself that I wasn't a victim. I had to show myself that I was tough. So my mouth got me into a lot of fights, and eventually you learn how to do what you got to do. Love. Love is available for us all. And
Forgiveness is mandatory.
Amen.
Forgiveness is mandatory.
Amen, David.
It's going to be a big pass right there. You can do all the things and walk all of the right paths, but if you're holding just anything against the next person, the Bible said God was disappointed in us, like in Adam and Eve. If we're still kind of all just big dumb monkeys. We're in a vessel. We're in a vessel. We've got to do what we got to do to keep this vessel alive. And survival, but forgiveness is key. I think that's one of the most godliest acts you can perform is forgiveness, and not just for the next person, but for yourself too.
Yes.
If he forgave us for being big dumb monkeys, we can forgive. I mean, if you're a big
That's ironic.
head, yeah. If
I forgive everyone but God.
What? Well, I'm sorry. What'd you say?
I can forgive just about anyone except God.
Well, that's part of it too.
I got a bone to pick with that guy.
Yeah,
I have
a lot
my
of
own
people bring
frustrations.
forward.
He got some explaining to do.
I've seen this on Jack.
I don't
I've seen this on
disagree.
Jack. I've seen this on Jack's show a lot too. Is that people, they might try to present the idea of blaming God for suffering and hardship, and I think that's a really short-sighted. And if we really contemplate life and like our day-to-day life and the life of the world, that amount of thing is very little part of life. I know some people are in deep suffering, but for the most part, we over focus on that, and we don't give credit to our salvation.
Bro, like hundreds of thousands of children die from food in this world.
But how many live?
They say, but if God is real, what about all these starving people, bro? They're worshiping wooden dolls. Okay, let their wooden doll take care of it. Is God? If you don't introduce yourself to God, like how do you expect Him to let you in? Like if you just showed up at my house and I don't know who you are, you're not getting in, bro. That's all there is to it. You got to introduce yourself to God.
I don't want to give off a false impression. Let me be clear first. I think man created God in his own image. So blaming God is it's a bit antithetical for me to begin with. I'm just saying from the Christian perspective,
that's backwards,
God is responsible for all evil. So, if we're talking about from the Christian perspective, then I have some questions.
Well, the questions are there, or the answers are there, but the reality is you're not going to like the answers.
I'm open as all get out, Dennison. I am so open. If you want to talk about stuff like that, I'm glad to be part of the panel. for people that want to talk about stuff like that.
Thank you. Actually, I spoke wrong. I don't think you won't like the answers. You might resist, and I think you have been resisting some of the answers, possibly, but I don't know what you've seen or what you've experienced. When I finally started playing the what if God is real? What if, despite my opinions, when I started looking beyond the suffering, I really started finding the beauty. And the more I found the beauty of life, the feeling that life brings, that is priceless. The feeling of life, that's who we are. We are feelings and ideas. What I've come to realize is Denizen, back to what you said. I agree in great part, you are correct. The majority of men and women have created a God in their own image. That's why, not to point her out, but our guest who showed up earlier was real resistant to the idea of God being love, because she has patterns of judgment and typical religious stuff, but that's not it. The whole point of
I was just going to add to that. I say, right, because she has a fixed concept of what God is, and that by definition breaks the idea. You can't point at it, right? You have to know it.
Did you say if she has a fixed concept?
Don't you all?
No, I don't think that I do. No, mine's not fixed like that. Because I want to
So
address
then
the
her
idea. You said,
her fixed idea could be correct then.
you said that we created God in our image, or people created God. There's a lot of hubris in that
100%.
statement. Yeah,
Not
there's a lot of
really.
hubris in that statement. You're
There
implying that
isn't.
mankind
Here.
has the ability to create something, whereas God is creating us, and without that force of creative intelligence, then we wouldn't be doing anything really.
The
Right,
fact
and
that humans can
that's
create
where I
things
wanted-
is not a. If I
This is
made this
where
one sentence, the fact that human beings can create things is hubris.
I thought Frankie said she has a fixed concept, but might just.
I'd like to swing it back. There was one other part I wanted to press on beyond. Okay. Our pride and our arrogance gets us to believe that we know. And we get this fixed definition of a mystery. The mystery behind the entire universe.
Well, you know God created man, right?
Huh?
You know God created man.
Well, this is my point. Let's recognize the limits of our knowledge. Let's not be stupid, okay? And realize there's an infinite amount of information involved in the process and generation of life. I don't claim to understand how chemicals and biology and every single thing in the universe works. There's an intelligence that created it all. We are that. We're a tiny aspect of that, and we have forgotten how to communicate because we've forgotten who we are. As Robert Seffer says, we're a species with amnesia.
I would contradict that because I'm an atheist, but whatever floats your boat.
Do you have any foundation besides your opinion?
Do you have any foundations beside a book?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's the same concept, isn't it?
No, we're telling you, yes, we do. Do you have, you're the one who raised the disagreement. I mean, what evidence would you want?
Well, the evidence is kind of contradictory, isn't it? Because you read upon something that you claim is based upon science, based upon.
We're not.
I would say it is more science than wisdom.
Yeah. Lean into the mic more and say that again.
I would say it is more science, and then the book would say it is more wisdom. So you have two controversial things that are never going to be resoluted with each other because one is more easy to understand than the other. We could, science is not always right. I mean, let's be honest. That's why it's called science. And religion is not always right as well. You cannot proclaim that your definition is right. You
Hey,
can't.
Frank.
You never
Hey,
will.
Frank,
Yes.
you're not making a lot of sense. And you're presenting a case that you can't do this. And the fact is, you're not willing to look. Okay.
Okay. Fair enough. I'm willing to accept that. But are you then willing?
I'm not. I've looked. I spent the whole life looking.
Well,
Have you made any
Apparently,
sacrifices?
I'm not willing to look. Jack, listen.
how about, please,
I've interviewed.
try to understand why I am saying the things that I'm saying. Frankly, Frank, you can be an atheist. I don't care. Your denial and your rejection of what is possible when you accept God is entirely up to you. You too, Denizen. You don't know what you're missing out on. It really is a better life. It really is, guys.
So
I would say the same thing.
Does that make you
Alright.
a better person, though, Jack?
Yes, it does.
Yeah, it does to some extent. And I would agree with we don't have to convert everyone, right?
No.
If he wants to engage in, right, like a sort of self-delusion about scientific materialism, because like how well do you understand science to begin with? And all of the science you
About
learned
as well as you
is,
understand God.
I'm
is
pretty sure
just
I didn't start
hearsay.
the argument with that.
Don't
but-
I
assume
understand
that.
science about as
Denizen,
well as you assume God. Right, he
Denizen,
can
you
assume
are
whatever he wants to
wrong.
assume.
I don't know
Denizen,
what
Now
you
you're
know in
assuming
my-
too.
I know in my
I'm not.
faith,
I'm
you're
asking you. It's a
wrong.
question. It's a question.
Right,
It's
that's
not,
your
I'm not
assumption.
making an accusation.
Oh,
And I'm
no.
asking you, how well do you understand science that you can
And I'm
base
answering
your-
you
your
about as well
foundation
as
of
you
fair-
understand God.
That's not a
How do you
no,
claim
that's
to
not a
know
response.
how he understands
No, it's like
anything?
you don't like the
Denizen?
response.
Folks, and
Denizen.
that is the entire issue because
Frank,
you cannot.
It's
Put your
logically
land down,
flawed.
Dennis.
Frank,
Also,
Your response is logically flawed.
There's only one of us who presumes they can know more than the other. I'm
Tell you
explaining
what.
to you that my understanding is
you
equal
guys
to
would
yours,
shut up.
and you guys are freaking the fuck out with that idea. Because you
I
must know
understand,
more than
Dennis.
me because you're a Christian and I'm atheist. You have to know more.
I know what you're saying, Dennison. I'm picking up what you're laying down, and I can't say that being a Christian my whole life, and even where I was raised, that if I wasn't brought up in that, I would probably be sitting right next to you on this exact statement. Because just as broad and lack of understanding as there is in science, it's the same with God. God is not what a whole lot of Christians think it is. It's no.
I haven't seen a single
There's no
Christian
gender.
agree with a single other one on the topic. We can't even do it
Guys,
here on this panel.
Right.
Let
And
Jack
that's popular too.
guide the conversation. Guys, back
well,
off.
Oh, my
let me
bad.
ask
I'm
this.
sorry.
And this is directed to Jack. Jack, I do not know what happened to you. I do not know what kind of toxicity there is between apparently me and you. I interviewed you for the first time. You seem the most nicest guy. But in all fairness, my man, even though that we had these conversations before, dude, in all honesty, I don't know what happened to you. And in all fairness, I stuck up for you. And apparently you wanna, for some reason, wanna consider me hostile. While it's just a normal civil debate. I never cussed at you. I never was hostile to you. And apparently your aggression is already showing. So I wanna know, and I'm fine with that. So I wanna know what's going on. Do you think that you're really that entitled to know everything because you got your own channel, you got your own following? Is that what happened? Because I knew you before you had all this following. So I'm
Frank.
wondering if that attention changed you.
You're totally missing the point, dude.
I don't think that I'm missing the point.
Why don't you shut up and listen, and then you'll understand.
Right.
I offer explanations, Frank. You deny my explanations, and I've been sitting here patiently. I just sat here and listened to your complaints and your narratives about me, but you didn't really seem open to discussing those things. You wanted to control the conversation, and this is not your stream, Frank. So while we are here on the Jack Talcott Chats with Jack, it's not an ego thing, Frank. I actually really care about how I spend my time. And I know for a fact that what I've got can change people's lives. Now, you don't seem interested in wanting to listen to me. You want to try and tell me, right? This all started, Frank, with you when I said something about my experience and my knowing of what I've learned. And you simply brought a disagreement because, well, you know, I'm an atheist, Jack, so I've got a disagreement. No specificity, just disagreement. Well, Frank, that's your problem, and you're disagreeing with things that you don't actually understand. And Denizen, that's you as well. That's many people who are alive today. Sincerely.
Do you care to elaborate on why we disagree?
You're the one who disagreed, dude. And then you didn't even consider what I was saying. You just disagreed because you're in this mode where you're convinced. Here, I don't claim to have a superior knowledge, right? But I do know that the words that I say, I can explain, I can support, I can provide, you know, further development of. But this egoic nonsense of, well, I disagree, Jack. That's not helping, and you're not the only one. So I'm sorry, I'm not singling you out. Please,
Can I?
please.
I'm not sure if you were done. Okay. So, Jack, in all fairness, I disagree because I don't believe in what you believe. That doesn't mean that I.
You don't believe in what?
I don't believe what you believe. And to
You
be
don't even
honest,
know what I believe, Frank. That's the problem. You and Denizen are assuming that you know enough
I
to respect
don't
it.
believe what you believe. It doesn't
And
matter.
if
Just going off
I
what
may
you told
add,
me,
if I may add,
not
they
making
both
assumptions.
if I may add, let me finish.
I've been
They
coming to
both
this panel a
truncated.
lot longer than you have.
Fuck Denizen.
Please,
You
please.
both truncated my original point. My idea is that through scientific materialism, I don't think that most people practice material science, but we do engage in spiritual science. We do study the wisdom and try to utilize it in our human lives. And science is just a collection of knowledge and data points, anyways.
Look,
So my point
if
being,
I
I
I was
engage and
willing
prove,
to find
interact
out.
with science on a daily
Let me
if,
basis.
finish. Let me
if
finish.
I
I
prove,
wanted to
Please,
know.
let him
Yes,
finish.
are you a scientist? Do you truly engage in material science, or do you just absorb the hearsay of other scientists who do the work?
All
No,
day,
I'm
every
not-
day.
In all honesty, I believe.
And
what
I also
in my
engage
own
what you
reality.
call spiritual science all day, every day.
look, I can
And
probably
Jack,
admit that OTW is smarter about the science behind the topic, but I think I'm closer. But the problem is, the conundrum is, if I prove to you God exists scientifically, where the fuck does faith go? Where is faith now? You
What you
have
do
to,
with
you stop
that's
thinking,
where
you
faith
stop
is
looking.
what he here, regardless of the proof, faith is what is most important with any set of knowledge is what are you gonna do? Many people have taken this, especially in the spiritual realm, and I'm sure as hell not doing this. I'm mindful not to be that way. The religious place themselves on a pedestal looking down on the other peasants because they haven't learned the same thing. I'm not doing that. What I am saying is that there are consistent facts, patterns of life that are not deniable. What Frank was suggesting is there is a science to spirituality. And
Yeah.
No, what? No, that's not what I was suggesting at all.
That there needed to be, maybe.
No, he's talking about the other Frank.
the other Frank,
Oh, sorry.
sorry, Frank Monday. Frank Monday was suggesting, yes, there's a science to the spiritualism. And that has been, it ties back. If you reject the Bible, you reject the wisdom it contains. And that is a fool's choice, because there's a reason the wisdom and the book has been passed down to us. It's for everything. Everything in this world is for us to choose to do with what we want. I wanted to know the truth. Now, the Bible was the last place I wanted to look. I've said this many times. Everything I have learned from modern teachings to ancient teachings comes back to the red letters and the example of Jesus the Christ.
No,
Yes.
What is the ancient teaching, Jack?
You get
You need
into
to
some
ask-
of the,
If you
Some of
have
the-
questions like that, you need to go to Wes Huff. Wes Huff. Look, Jack, if you're not following Wes Huff, you need to follow Wes Huff, because he stands on the spots. You know, you
He's
probably
prideful.
are.
I'm just
Prideful.
asking a freaking question to Jack, and not like an entire freaking history lesson.
Well, if he can't answer it, I'm telling you where to go find the answer. If you're really
Give
seeking
him-
an
give
answer
him-
instead of pricking and prying, I'm trying to give you the answer.
How the hell
Don't
how
get-
the hell am I pricking and prying if I asking Jack a question and you're interrupting?
I'm not
without
saying
the guy
you
even
are.
answer?
I'm not saying
No,
you
please.
are. I'm just
Then
giving
give him
you
a chance
answers.
to answer.
If he doesn't have the
Who
answer, I
is?
recommend going to Wes Huff.
He didn't even answer because you interrupted him immediately.
Well, he didn't have to for me to know Wes Huff has your answer, brother. If you're
Yeah,
really
you could
looking
say
for an answer instead of picking on him, go to Wes Huff.
How-
He will.
Yeah,
How
you
the
can
hell
tell
can
me
I
on
pick
Jack.
on him if it was a
Can I
genuine
please-
question?
Can I please? Because I do
Yes,
think
sir,
what Frank
I'm
was
sorry.
trying to ask is in relation to the words I was using. And so, yes, Wes Huff is an extremely wise academic. He's certainly he's being raised into more of a spotlight. But he has the mind knowledge, but in my view, from a distance, he lacks the heart knowledge. And there's a lot of other teachers. What I was referring to, though, Frank, from the ancient ideas, many of the, I'm trying to remember the Vedic writings, the writings from 7,000 years ago, right, from the Hindu teachings. There was writings and knowledge of inner workings of our minds, our bodies, and supposedly it's possible stuff like that was passed down from prior civilizations like Atlantis. This world we live in is an entire mystery wrapped in an enigma, wrapped in another mystery. Let's stop pretending like we know everything. Let's genuinely start trying to figure it out together.
Great. I like that idea.
Thank you. Because truly, if we can find agreements, the answers are there. And if you allow me to play along, if you can allow your mind to play along just for a moment with this idea, right? The new world that's here right now, waiting for the wars to end and for mankind to find the willingness to move beyond the past, to start thinking about the future instead of the past. When mankind starts uniting together with compassion and pure intention, you think that's how God reveals miracles, guys. It's through us. But all this fighting and bickering and doubts and worries and anger and competition.
Can
We've
I
been
say a
brainwashed.
closing statement and leave? Can I say a closing statement and leave based on that?
Please.
I want to put a huge chink in the armor of this where y'all are being judgmental. Y'all are being judgmental. Now, listen, look, when we tell you to go up 2 blocks and take a left to get to that premium roast beef sandwich. It's not us telling you that if you go up and take a right, then, you're just, you know what I'm saying? We're not, ain't nobody being judgmental when we're reading the scripture off to you. If you have questions and you have genuine questions and you don't want to just try to break this down from the sand up, go to these biblical scholars and watch them stand on the dirt of where this stuff took place and start there. Let's start with the physical reality of things, because I understand. I still want to find the physical reality of Sodom and Gomorrah. I want to see where that took place. You know what I'm saying? I'm looking for those. We're just trying to tell you about these factual things right now so you can start there. And if you don't want to, then don't keep coming to us for questions. Seek and ye shall find. You know when you're messing with somebody and when you're not. I love every one of y'all. I love every one of y'all, and I mean it, unless you make me not. Okay? I just want everybody to find that premium roast beef sandwich real bad. Okay? And thanks for having me up, Jack. Yeah, I've been nervous as all get out, but I hope I said everything correctly. And if I was being like over, aggressive today, I apologize. This is my topic. I love y'all. I mean it.
Much love. Thank you, David. Appreciate you joining. We kind of flowed for a while. Is there anything unresolved? Are we all right? Denizen, I know you don't get upset. You don't get too attached or moved or
No,
not worried about that.
I'm too. I could wake up tomorrow and God could appear before me and be like, "I've been extremely disappointed in you, Denizen," and I'd be like, "My bad," and move on. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not. I don't hold tight to beliefs. It ruins a person, in my opinion.
Yes and no, Denizen. See, this is the paradox. We've got both things are true, right? Because the only thing that matters is the present, and the present is the gift of life. We're breathing the gift of life all through the day, but we're not always present in our mind. We're future tripping with hopes, or we're reliving crap from the past. But the hope, without hope, life sucks. Okay? But it's really easy to get us to escape from life through hope. And if all you're doing is thinking about things, then you're not really living. But some of the stuff OTW was pointing out earlier.
Baby steps.
Does that get out of your imagination, Jack?
Yes.
I mean, use it, utilize it, but then once you've, brought it into the physical world by writing it down or reciting it or whatever it is that is your ritual, then you need to actually take the steps to make it happen. You can't just keep doing it.
Here, Denizen, I'd like you to consider. I am a man who is moving by faith. Can I succeed? I don't know. Am I crazy for doing what I've done? Moving myself out to DC and doing this stuff? I don't know. This is the life I'm living, though. And I am committed for the rest of my life. I've embraced the idea that God is with me wherever I go. So I remind myself of that. And then I realize that somehow I have a mind and a heart. And as long as I stay honest, right, between my mind and my heart, I can do anything I want. Based on opportunities and resources, that's mostly limited by my mind. because there's an infinite amount of resources and opportunities that are out there. So to find more opportunities for myself, I sit in peace and I seek higher answers, and they come, they show up. And then I usually get an explanation and more details from other people once I figure something out for myself. And I think that's what God has been, I think that's what we're designed for. And I think this is what's happening right now. There's a lot of people, we're all going through this shift and through this awakening. It's a matter of process and development. It's just the time we're living through. There's lots of people are going through a lot of different things. But I think the pain and the scariness, it's for a purpose. We're either going to stay divided and be destroyed, or we're going to unite together and overcome. And God allowed me to put the pieces of me back together a lot of times. And I think together we can put the pieces of America back together in a better way. Oh, which reminds me, modern day politics stuff. We've got the perfect display. God is revealing everything to us. We've just got to pay attention. The stuff with Musk and Trump, it's so perfect. Wealth is at war with authority finally. Right? Musk is the world's richest man, right? Going against the world's most powerful position.
Yeah, it's that popularity contest, and that's what they wanted. And it's going to be a good show for all the people that are going to watch.
Well, I want to get on the side. I haven't figured it out. I'm thinking maybe Musk might have opened up like a tactical opportunity. I don't know if he'd be easier to get a hold of than Donald Trump or not.
Yeah, you may be able to act as a mediator, a go-between.
Well, I've wanted to speak with both of them ever since Donald Trump brought in the billionaire class. I mean, that's who I want to talk to anyway. I want to speak to all the, not just in America. I'd love to speak to all the world nation leaders and all the corporate leaders around the world. Hey, speaking of, isn't Davos kicking off again like this week or something around now too? You guys know?
I was muted. What's Davos?
Where they meet the billionaires and the world leaders behind the scenes. They all meet in Davos in Switzerland. It's been a meeting of the billionaires.
The World Economic Forum?
It's not an official thing. It's kind of like the
Bilderberg
thing. Yeah. It's like that. But I understand it's supposed to be happening again pretty soon.
Jack,
So in Davos, they have the World Economic Forum, and that's where all the out in the open leaders of the world meet to discuss all of our futures.
All right.
I've just given myself a new goal, Jack. I want to go beyond stopping wars. I want to live without fear on the moon.
The Bilderberg meeting happened this week last year.
Okay, maybe the Bilderbergs is what I was thinking of. Because if
it should be happening right now or just concluded.
I saw something, one of those things I thought was happening around this week. Guys, this world we live in, there's so much happening behind the scenes. And we don't know what we don't know. Not much is true. What I do claim to know, I don't know the totality of God. That's for sure. I don't make that claim whatsoever. But I do know that there is a peace that's available from your inner state of being. It's easiest carried with you when you have faith. And actually, if you just follow the facts, if you follow the facts through, you realize there's nothing to fear. No, there is no reason at all except what you believe. Fear is a belief. Get rid of the doubts. Fill yourself with love, man. Love the truth above all else. And as you love the truth above all else, you'll establish the habit of being willing to be wrong. Because honest men and women are willing to be wrong. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, agreed. I want to say thank you, Jack, as well. Go ahead.
No, please go ahead.
I was just going to say, I thought, I came up because there was a good conversation about spiritual enlightenment and cultivation. And I thought, hey, that coincides with what I want to do, which is the great work. And I consider it to be building a better paradigm, some way of understanding the world better through reflection. And you showed me a couple of places where I was wrong in my argumentation. And I think when we get in a position where it becomes a have God or not have God debate, this causes a lot of undue anxiety and tension. But I take it back to the great work being the pursuit of religion through the methods of science. And when just the science word is used to try to deflate our entire stance, I feel like it's extremely short-sighted. And science is just, it's a bunch of data points and knowledge bases, and it's what we do with it. And I think it serves your original question, your original thumbnail. What's the upshot? What's the end goal? What's the purpose? And I think it's that. I think it's a deeper connection. And what are the production of those things, right? What spiritual gifts do we get? Do we have greater compassion and love for each other? So I think that's something that's important. And yeah, I think you do really well at exposing that in many people. And I don't think you necessarily need to follow because you are a leader. And in your style of leadership is what you're working towards. So yeah, thank you for that. And thank you for showing me where some of the darkness was still residing in me. Because I do want to learn, and I want to learn from everyone present.
Hey, thank you, Frank. Appreciate it. I'm feeling done. I'm ready to start wrapping up, guys.
Hey, I'm going live in 4 minutes, Jack.
Me too,
Amazing.
Jack. I'm out. Be blessed.
Beautiful. Thank you. Well, here, I'll get you
I wonder what's going on there. Oh, that's what's going on.
Yeah. I'm going to get this set up and we'll head over that way.
All right, I'm out. I'm going over to my peace and blessings to everybody. Shout out to the chat. Well, if you want to come on over to and continue this over to the OTW Live broadcast, that's my channel. I'm going live in 4 minutes and counting. So
I just dropped the link for that as well. So
all right,
please.
So I'm out. Peace, guys.
Much love, OTW. Thank you, brother.
Jack, are you going to be there a little later, maybe?
I probably will.
OTW.
I may get some air and doggone it. Sorry, I'm trying to find
grass.
this. Yes. Maybe maybe a bite to eat too. Doggone it. Here, please go ahead just for a moment, if you will.
Yeah, good man. Well, like a lot of people look at different things through different perspectives, and Denizen in particular, I wasn't trying to cut you off or break down any of your development and understanding. What I was trying to do was say that, science per se, just as a power word, doesn't discount all of the work that we do through our form of spiritual cultivation. And I don't think we need to be in an argument of have God or not have God. I don't think that's very necessarily productive, but through spiritual cultivation, we can reach towards developing that wisdom in our lives. Whereas scientific materialism for the average individual doesn't offer very much but hearsay, right? Like I don't go out and do geoscience or astrophysics or any type of science in my daily life, but I do cultivate the wisdom of Solomon and other various teachings that I believe give me something of value. So I think that's one of the distinctions I was trying to make.
Thank you, Frank. I appreciate it. This life is a mystery. When you said something, whoops, sorry, OTW started up apparently. You said something that my initial mind was to reject and to disagree. It was the absence of God, because there is no true absence of God. It's only from the mind of those who don't know. And the symptoms of the absence of God, it's pretty obvious, because God brings the knowing. And when we have, I'm explaining this poorly, I realize. I'm hearing myself.
I think you're doing well. No, you're doing well. It seems like sometimes folks without God try to start from an argumentation of disproving God to us, right? Because I don't have God, you shouldn't have God either. And I don't think that's what we do. I definitely know that's not what you do, Jack. Just because you have God, you don't have to force feed it to other people. Go ahead.
No, it comes across that I do, though. It comes across that I am force feeding God onto people. Denizen has actually been very understanding, open-minded. He's been willing to overlook a lot of my rudeness. But I get your skepticism, and I get anyone's skepticism. I was skeptical. I was doubtful. Even when I started here, my life put me in these positions where, are you going to forgive or are you going to kill yourself? That's really where I was at, a few different times in my life. So the path of forgiveness is the only way to be. And you can break the patterns, the habits of having to forgive, when you stop judging. And Denizen, you're already living, from what I've seen of you, dude, you're already living the way. I just don't know your inner state of being. But the way you present yourself with, like I said in the chat earlier, I believe you to be very honest, very wise, So you're already living the way.
I agree.
I'm not kidding, though. I'm sorry to keep going, because I'm not kidding, though, Denizen. There's rewards. There's rewards for those who seek. Those who seek find the answers. When you find the answers, you know. But the answers, it's not just a head knowledge. You got to take what you know and bring it into your heart and put it into practice. And this is where I was trying to explain. I had a lot of opportunities to forgive. I had a lot of opportunities to, accept things that I did not actually hope for. My life fell apart. But when it fell apart, that's when I got to discover I'm stronger than I thought. I don't need anyone, dude. I welcome everyone until they show me that I can't. Hey, let's start wrapping up. Any final words, Denizen or Frank? Either way.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Jack. And anyone who's interested in having greater discussions about magic the way that I necessarily practice it, and communing with Solomon and David, and being in God's temple, so to speak, and then discussing internal alchemy and the analogies, they're always welcome over at the Frank Monday show. I always appreciate being on the Jack Talcott show, and I watch you day to day, Jack. And I'm only able to tune in on the weekend, like it's Saturday morning for me here now, so I'm able to jump on and say hello. But all my love and support to you and Denizen as well, and everybody out there doing good magic. Love be with you, man, and peace, and live without fear. It's good stuff, man. Let's push it forward.
Much love, Frank. And yes, and for those who haven't, or like Frank said, if you're interested in more of that, the wisdom he shares, check him out. Even if you're not interested, I encourage you, check him out, give him a subscribe, and see what you find. Life is a mystery. Thank you, Frank. Peace, brother. Denizen, thoughts from you?
From my perspective, science is a beautiful way to understand the world and your environment in a deeper way that gives it real meaning and purpose in your everyday life, and actually engaging with the world around you in a physical, intellectual, and inquisitive way leads to a deeper understanding and fulfillment of the promise of nature, which we are all part of. You can use the tools available to you, including logic, the mind, and the tools which science have provided for us after millennia of learning. We truly do stand on the backs of giants. And as the creator of God, I have God within me. I know him like I know myself. He's literally everywhere for me to interact with every day. And I think religion sometimes complicates God and makes it less accessible.
I agree with you. It weeds people out and they get confused in the process. There's a lot of people that, you know what, we are the result of the past. But I have a feeling things are going to change. Everything, all the answers are here. There is no logical reason whatsoever, based simply on the advancements of technology and communication. There is no logical reason why mankind needs to continue to fight over religion, politics, or economics. There's no reason. We've got all the facts we need. As you said, Denizen, we're standing on the shoulders of giants. Not in many ways, the realm of mind, not only in the realm of sciences, but the realm of body and spirit.
Yeah.
The answers have always been there. So what's
And
the matter?
kudos to you, Jack, because I came straight for you today. Right? I put you right.
Yeah.
I didn't. I put the
You didn't
scope
hold
right
back.
on you.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, it was like I could see that you were a little angry, or not angry, but irritated, frustrated. There was something was boiling under there, but you did not lose it. So I don't know. Maybe you're just faking it. You're like a super manipulator, Jack. But from my perspective, you did pretty well. It got pretty heated there for a second, and it did not explode. And then I think you and Frank had a good conversation, a one-on-one after that.
I felt that. I don't know I don't know if it was well received by Frank, but thank you. When you brought up the manipulator, I know how my words when I admit my faults, people run with those. But yeah, in my past, now that I'm where I am today, I can see how I manipulated. I was passive aggressive. I played with people's emotions, maybe. I don't know. It wasn't really intentional. I wasn't intending to do it, but in hindsight, I can see that. But what I've been focused on now, and thank you, Denizen, I'm trying to improve. The one who I can manipulate is me. And I'm the one I need to manipulate. And I'm going to do a lot better when I stop reacting, when I stop.
I want to see you be able to sit here and let Daisy go on a 20-minute rant. That's my hope for you, Jack, and that's because I kind of like you. As much as as much as that sounds sadistic, you know what I'm saying? That's like you, but truly be able to just, remain zen through the whole thing. Because at the end, I mean, God bless her, as you would say, Jack. But at the end of the day, look at the source we're talking about here. This is not, no offense.
This is the world we live in. Everyone is doing the best they can at the level of knowledge that they've gained. And I've been blessed. So have you, Denizen. So has Frank Monday and El Perro, and many of the people who joined me. Many of us have been blessed to learn a lot of things in life.
It's a burden and a curse too sometimes.
It can be. Everything is. That's what life is. It's both. It's a gift and a curse. It's a weapon. It's a tool. It's everything we want, and yet it is nothing at all. I'm going to wrap up, Denizen. Thank you for joining, brother. Anything else? All right, brothers and sisters, sincerely, today's Tal quote in the reminder in the back, delight in the Lord, just quick reminders from me to you as we head on out of here. Go do what you would hope for. Figure out what that means for you. What does your heart hope for you to do? Not what does your mind want you to get. What does your heart hope for you to do? And then I encourage you, do a little inventory of yourself. Be honest with yourself. Have you allowed yourself to get comfortable? Are you fixed to a routine? If your routine fell apart or things changed, would you fall apart? Play those ideas out for yourself, not to create that reality, but to prepare yourself. And then realize that if I'm attached to this comfort zone, maybe it's time for me to step out a little bit more. Because this, Crystal Shaman, listen to your heart. Your heart will not lie to you. Now, your mind will, and that's where you're going to get the language to understand your heart, but make sure your answers are true. And when you get the true answers from your heart, you'll know. You won't have a doubt in your mind. It'll just feel correct, and you'll know. And so recognize, just by simply choosing a greater purpose, something new, something different, or a goal to expand your value, expand your worth, expand your mind, expand your experience. If you don't have those purpose and goals, then you can easily get trapped with where you are. And I tell you, to have faith, go do what you would hope for. Brothers and sisters, I hope the best for you. I thank you all for stopping by. And I'm going to wrap it up here. I do have a set. We're going to bounce over and visit our friend OTW News Live. He was one of our guests here, and he's going to continue the format. Till next time, thank you again. Choose love, peace for everyone, and live without fear. God bless us all. Peace and thank you.